Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. This is Geoff with Fluent American checking in, and today we're going to be taking a look at maps, giving directions, things like that. As I'm going through this, please, as always, leave some questions, concerns, comments, and things like that in the chat box. I'll definitely be checking that as we go through it, so I want to make sure I'm answering your questions. Now, we're going to be taking a look at this map here, okay? So again, this is a map of a city. This is a map of Philadelphia. So we're going to kind of be giving some guidelines on how to give some directions, some common expressions and things like that, as well as how to pronounce them correctly. So again, since we focus a lot on pronunciation. Other quick reminders too, we are holding another Native U Intonation Workshop. Okay, so if you're not familiar with our Native U Workshop, it's definitely something that I think is helpful for going over pronunciation, intonation, stress, and things like that. What we do is we look at conversations between native speakers, and we just kind of analyze, where are they raising the pitch? How are they linking words together? What words are they stressing? What's the intonation? Is it rising? Is it falling? So we look at a conversation and then break that up. And it's only a 30-minute class, but this will be happening on December 12th at 9:30 a.m. on Skype. If you're interested, all you need to do is to send me a message, or you can leave a comment, and I'll leave you more details about how to register. Feel free also, we have some videos that go through Native U workshops as well. So if you have questions about them, you can always just check out those videos, or of course leave some comments again on this video, and I'll respond to any questions. All right, so again, we are taking a look at maps. Hello, Ibrahim. Hello, Ryan. Thank you guys for joining me. As I said, if you guys have questions, let me know. It's great to see you guys. So again, we're taking a look at this map. Actually, before we even get into the map, let's kind of just talk about directions really quick. So your main directions in English are going to be, so north is the one up top. North, south, east, west. North, south, east, west. North, you want to watch out for that RTH sound. North, earth, north. You're also going to get that TH in south as well. These are both voiceless THs, so your throat does not need to vibrate. It's just a th sound. East is going to be your long I sound. So like an E, same as like an eat or seat or these, east. And then west. Pay attention to that sound. So it's not wah, it's more weh. What you're doing is you're raising the back, the middle, and the front of your tongue up. Okay. Yeah, let me see. We had a question about volume. I'm also going to bring this closer to me as well to see if that helps. And give me a moment to check my levels. So again, that's going to be north, south, east, and west. Other directions are, of course, going to be helpful as well. Things like, for instance, here we go, boosting that volume up for you. Okay. Ibrahim, let me know if that's any better. Other things too, like right. There's right. Let's pay attention to some of these. So like right with that I sound. Left, same sound as like west, that sound. There's right, left. Straight, so that means like if you're just going ahead, that direction would be straight. You're going straight. So to give you an example from our map, if you're going like, give me one sec. If you're going like this way, this would be straight. And Ryan asks, will this be a video after live? Yep, this will still be available after live, so you can always check in as well then too if you still want this content. So again, this would be straight if you go up. If you have to go backwards, thank you, Ibrahim, I appreciate that. If you ever have to go backwards, so that'll be backwards, or the other word would be reverse. Okay, so like if you have to go in reverse, you have to go backwards. That means, again, so you can either go straight or you can go backwards. You can go in reverse. And again, right, left. Other common words that you're going to see. So for instance, if you're going on a street, you can say you're going down. So you can be saying, oh, I'm going down. I'm going down Market Street. That's what you see right there. Conversely, in the opposite direction, you could also say going up. Okay, so you could also say I'm going up Market Street. Okay, so I'm going down Market Street, I'm going up Market Street. Either one of those could be fine. That's what you're going to hear that all the time on streets. You know, I'm going down Broad Street or I'm going up Broad Street. Okay. In all honesty, I don't think it makes a huge difference if you use up or down. Really, I think either of those options could be fine for your purposes. Okay. One thing you're going to notice when you look at this map, one thing you're going to see, let me get my picture up. I want to make sure you guys can see me sometimes. One thing you're going to see on this map when you look at the streets, you're going to see these little arrows. What are arrows? Arrows are like these symbols. Those symbols are called arrows. Okay, so what these arrows mean on this street is that we have some what are called one-ways. So for instance, if you say a street is one way, that means that traffic only moves in one direction. So for instance, if you look at that street, Chestnut Street, you can see that Chestnut Street, what's the direction? The direction is one way. Moving, according to this map, it would be moving west. So it's one way going west. If you compare that to Walnut Street, down there. So Walnut Street is one way going east. Okay? So for instance, let's say I'm at this Sunoco gas station and I want to get to those coffee roasters. What would I have to say? Take a moment to think, or if you guys are here with me, write down in the chat box, what would you tell someone if they wanted to get from that Sunoco gas station and they wanted to end up at the La Colombe coffee roasters? How would they get there? Paying attention that Walnut is one way going west, and then Chestnut is one way going east. How would you get from Sunoco to Chestnut Street? Any ideas? I'll also type the answer too so you guys can see it. If you're seeing this after the recording, you'll see this in the chat box on the replay, hopefully. Okay, so again, I'm trying to get from Sunoco down to Cologne. So one thing I could say is that, right, so Ryan says that we do have two one-way streets. So Walnut Street's one way, Chestnut Street's one way. So I could say, from the Sunoco station, notice that 22nd Street is one way going north, right? So what I could say, now let me bring that video up so you guys can see me as I go through this. Okay. So one thing I could say is that I could say from the Sunoco station, starting there, turn, let's say right on South 22nd Street. Okay, because again, 22nd Street is one way going north. Then notice what I'm going to have to do. Walnut Street doesn't go the direction I need. Walnut Street keeps going left. So I need to go another street all the way up to Chestnut. So basically, I'm going to change my color really quick. I need to go all the way up to Chestnut Street. So from the Sunoco station, I'm going to turn onto Chestnut Street. Okay. And then I'm going to keep going, because that's not actually, yeah, I'm going to go up to Chestnut. I'm going to turn right on Chestnut Street. And then that doesn't look like 19th has a direction. So it looks like 19th Street, it goes in both directions. It's a two-way road. Okay. So that means I can turn right on South 19th Street. And then I'll make it all the way there. Okay. So that's basically what we did. Okay, so from Sunoco Station, turn right onto South 22nd Street, then turn right on Chestnut, then turn right again on South 19th Street. Okay, so that's our first little challenge there. Just notice this is on turn right. And this is how a lot of cities, at least on the East Coast of the United States, what their structure is like. This type of structure is called a grid. And it's called a grid because basically what it is you basically just have lots of squares. This type of format where you have lots of squares, this is called a grid. Okay. So a lot of your East Coast cities like New York, Boston, not Boston. Boston's a weird exception. But New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C. These are all cities that have a grid pattern. These are all cities that tend to have a lot of one-way streets. So what you need to do a lot is you need to do kind of a lot of these things where you go on other streets, turn right, and then turn right. So you're kind of making lots of circles. If you want to go backwards. So again, I had to go backwards to get from Sunoco to La Colombe. Okay. Let's try to do another one now. And again, you guys will have that. Let's say I wanted to get from... Let's say I want to get from Target. So I'm going to start you off at Target, and I want you to go to... Let's say here. So if I want to get from Target to Trader Joe's. Oh, good question. So Ryan asked, what is a block? So a block is a unit of measurement for streets. Okay, so a block is a very common unit of measurement for streets, especially for cities. If you think of a city, the typical format for a city is they have kind of these long square shapes. You can see that in this map, at least in the US. So each of these long square shapes is a block. To give you some examples, I'm going to highlight some. Let's see here. So this would be a block. This is a block. You have a small block here. You have another block. All this is a block. Notice all of these are blocks. So for instance, to get from Rittenhouse Square, so to get from here to there, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks. Okay, so to get from Rittenhouse Square to about 23rd Street, you're looking at about 5 to 6 blocks. Okay. So that's a very common unit of measurement for cities and things like that. Something can be a block away. If something's a block away, that's usually pretty close. You can probably get there in like 2-3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes. If something is like 10 to 15 blocks away, now you're starting to talk about something that's far. Okay, so I would say like a 1 block radius is usually pretty good. 10 blocks, you may start wanting to think about maybe taking a bus or something like that. Okay. So again, I want to get from Target to Trader Joe's. So again, if you're following along with me, you can either pause and try to figure it out on your own, looking at the map, and I'll show you how to do it in a moment. Okay, but again, I want to get from this Target. This Target is on South 19th Street. Trader Joe's is on South 22nd Street. Okay, and a lot of times, like when we're talking about addresses, we refer to things by their cross streets. So for instance, I could say Target is on Chestnut, or I could say 19th and Chestnut. So Target is on 19th and Chestnut. Typically your number goes first. Okay, so it's on 19th. You can see the 19 here. There's your 19th. And then your Chestnut is your cross street. Okay, so if I want to get to Target, I can say Target's on 19th and Chestnut. Okay. So again, if I want to get from that to that, if I want to get from Target to Trader Joe's, what do I need to do? So first thing I can do, I'm looking at 19th. 19th looks like it's two-way. I don't see any arrows. Okay, so I'm going to go north. I'm going to go north on 19th Street. I'm going to have to go all the way up to there, John F. Kennedy Boulevard. So I can say again, I could say go up 19th Street, or I could say go down 19th Street. Either one of those. Go up 19th Street, go down 19th Street, take a left or turn left on John F. Kennedy. And then I need to turn left again, right? I need to turn left on... Oh no, my mistake. So watch out, because 20 seconds, we got our one way. Okay, so this is where one ways can get kind of tricky. So we have that one way on 20 seconds, so I can't just do that. So I need to take JFK all the way over there. And then, no, that's super small. It's going to say 23rd. So it says 23rd Street. And then I need to kind of then go back. So then go down 23rd Street. Go to Chestnut Street. And then I can get on 22nd. Okay. So lots of steps involved in this one. Let's kind of break it down again. Give me one moment. Okay, so again, our steps. So to get from Target to Trader Joe's, here are the steps that you would need to follow. So I need to go down or go up 19th Street. I would then need to take a left. You can also say turn left. Either one of those are fine. So take a left, turn left on John F. Kennedy. A lot of times John F. Kennedy is shortened to just JFK. So JFK Boulevard. And then I need to go all the way down to 23rd. Take a left at North 23rd. Then I need to turn onto Chestnut. And then take a left at South 22nd Street. Okay. And a lot of times you don't even really need to say street. You can just say the number. So for instance, take a left at 19th or turn right on 23rd. Okay, you don't usually need to say street or road or whatever. Okay, you can usually just give the name and that's fine, especially for cities and things like that. Okay. I believe it's live. I didn't set it as a premiere. So I hope it's not a premiere. We have a question. Can I say go straight ahead until JFK? You don't need the ahead. I would just say go straight until JFK. Yeah, go straight until JFK. Another thing you may hear is like go straight until you hit JFK. Yeah, so go straight until you hit JFK, go straight until JFK. Either one of those is fine. Yeah. Okay. And, yeah, questions about getting from Target to Trader Joe's. If you guys have any questions, be sure to let me know. Just maybe take a look at maybe one more example. If you guys have any places that you'd like to see me try to explain the directions from, be sure to let me know. For the moment, we can try, let's try one that's a little trickier. When you live in the city, do you need to know the street names? I mean, I think it depends on the city you're in. You know, what I would say for East Coast cities, especially, for instance, again, this is Philadelphia, New York. It's super common to know the major street names. Like it's somewhat expected, you know. Like if someone says, "Oh, I was on 69th," you know, or if someone says, "Oh, I was at Market and First," you know, it gives people orientation because people know. Oh, they're like, "Oh yeah, I know it's around there," you know. So you, in general, especially like in terms of like downtown areas, like people are familiar with the street names and things like that. So I would say, you know, if you're moving to a city, I would say try to get a bearing of the street names. Try to at least find out the major ones. The most common, there are lots of patterns, at least in the U.S., in terms of street names that I think are really helpful. I'm happy to be distracted. You guys can distract me. We can talk about things. If you guys have anything you want to talk about. Street names that you really should be familiar with. The most common street names, Broad Street, Broad Street is usually going to be one of the busiest streets in a city, or at least historically they were. Nowadays they may or may not be. Broad Street, sometimes places call them Broadway instead of Broad Street. They call them Broadway. Just like the street in New York where they do lots of plays and things like that. Those are actual street names as well. Broad Street. Main Street, same thing. A main street is usually a very, it's a busy street in the city. So you definitely should be familiar with that. High Street is another common street. A lot of times cities also have like market streets and things like that. Besides that, other street names are like first, second, third, things like that. So those are all things that you should be familiar with as well in terms of street names. Other cities have some peculiarities too. It can be a tricky word to say, peculiarities. For instance, a lot of East Coast cities, again, Philadelphia, New York, just having the most experience with those. Those types of cities usually have streets that are numbered. So for instance, again, First Street, Second Street, Third Street, things like that. One thing that you'll see in Philadelphia, so again, usually in this map, you can see all our names. So for instance, again, we have like Chestnut Street, Walnut Street. So again, it's very common in Philadelphia to have flower names, plant names on streets that run east and west. And then for your streets that run north and south, that's when you have the numbers. Okay, so that kind of lets people know in the city that, for instance, if you say like, oh, Chestnut and 21st, well, people know, okay, Chestnut is the street that goes more horizontal. It's your east-west, whereas 21st is your north-south. Okay, so that's kind of something to keep in mind for structure. Ibrahim has a question about sixth. So do some people pronounce the TH just as a T? It's like what? Pronounce it like sixth? I mean, there may be some regional things where that TH gets pronounced as a T. But I think for the most part, you're going to hear it more pronounced as a TH. Another regional thing that you may see with that, though, is people pronounce it almost like with an F sound, like sixth instead of sixth. So you may hear more of an F sound for that. But I don't think you're as likely to hear it as with just a T sound. But again, I focus more on kind of standard versions. There are tons of non-standard variations of English. So you may hear some people that pronounce it with a T. Ibrahim, if you were thinking of a specific person or a specific show, be sure to let me know. Okay. So like I said, I wanted to do one more direction example, and then we could talk about other quick things. So let's say I wanted to get from... let's say I want to get from... Where's a good place? Okay, so let's start off with the Academy of Music. So way down to the south. So Veda's talking about sixth. Again, I don't think you're not going to hear that like as a standard variation, but yeah, you may hear some people pronounce that. People have all kinds of ways of pronouncing THs and X's and all kinds of other sounds. Okay, so let's say I want to get from the Academy of Music down to... I like to find something that's a little bit complex. Oh, we have another... While I'm thinking of a place, we have another question about fifth. You know, these are really important things, especially for street names, again, because they're so common. So fifth is a consonant cluster, and it tends to be one of the trickier ones, because you're going from that F to that TH. If the goal is to sound standard, you really do need to pronounce the F as well as the TH. You can't just say, oh, I'm just going to do one. No, you really need to do both. So it should sound like fifth. So notice that kind of transition. So like you're starting with your lips pressed together. Your top tooth touching your lower lip. And then you're sliding your tongue up and just gently pressing the tip of your tongue against your top front tooth. So that's how you get that sound. Fifth. Okay. Yeah, so in theory, they should be two distinct sounds. Okay. There's lots of people, especially language learners that don't pronounce that F, but in theory you really should pronounce the F because it is a different sound. Okay, so let's say I want to get from the Academy of Music down to, I mean, really, no place is going to be super complicated, right? Because that's kind of the advantage of a grid system, is that it's supposed to make things relatively easy to get to if you miss your directions or things like that. Let's say that I want to get to the Barnes & Noble, the bookstore. Okay. So we have the explanation about why that TH for sixth and why removing that TH. I mean, I think what I would say is that people will understand it. Like if you say sixth, like if you say something like that, instead of sixth, you say sixth. People will understand what you're saying. So if the goal is just trying to get people to understand you, yeah, I think that can work fine. But if the goal is to not only be understood, but also start sounding more natural, you'll probably want to pronounce that TH sound. Just heads up. Okay. So again, if you're following along with me, if you want to try this on your own, feel free to kind of pause the video or put me on mute for a moment. But we're going to try to get from the Academy of Music down to the Barnes & Noble. Okay. And just to make it a little bit more complicated, let's say, so Broad Street is a two-way street, but let's say that we want to start off by turning right. Okay. So again, Broad Street is two-way, but let's just to play with it a little bit, let's say that we want to go right. Okay. So if I'm doing that, so that means I'm going to turn right on Broad. Then where am I turning left? I'm turning left. Well, I guess in terms of space, I'd be turning. So that means I'm going to turn this way. So this would actually be right. I'm going to turn right on Spruce. And just a quick note too, one nice thing in the US, at red lights, if there's a red light, but traffic isn't coming, you can actually turn right on a red light. You cannot turn left on a red light in the US, but if it's red, you can turn right on a red light if traffic's not coming. One other thing is that if you are turning onto a one-way street, so let's say for instance, I keep getting distracted by things, I'm sorry. So let's say I'm at this corner at 16th and Walnut. Okay, and let's imagine that there's a traffic light there. Well, if there's no traffic coming on Walnut, so if there is no traffic right there and it's a red light, I could actually turn left and that would be fine because it's a one-way. Okay, so that's just a little driving thing in the US. Okay, you can turn left at a red light if it's a one-way street. Just a heads up. Okay. Sorry, keep getting distracted. I'm sorry. Okay, so again, I'm turning on the Spruce. I'm taking right on Broad, turning right on Spruce. Gonna go all the way to 18th. Okay. So then I'm going to take a right on 18th. And then I will hit the Barnes & Noble. Or I could turn a left on Walnut, and then I would get to the Barnes & Noble too. Okay, so let's type those directions up really quick for you. Okay. Yeah, I know the arrows are super small. I'm sorry. You'll just have to trust me on them. so on Broad, turn right, take a right onto Spruce. I'm kind of surprised I can see them too, honestly. I should be wearing my glasses right now. But I will guide you guys. The blind will lead the blind. Let's turn on the Spruce. Take a right onto 18th. And then you can say go straight until you hit the Barnes & Noble. Okay, so again, that's how you would get from the Academy of Music down to the Barnes & Noble. And that will work fine. Okay. All right. Some others. Those are just some. I think we did 3 examples now, just giving some general directions. Again, with the grid is relatively simple because it's easy to correct yourself. You just kind of keep making circles, pretty much. Some other quick techniques, just to make sure that if you're giving directions and things like that, or just driving in general, that you think are helpful. If you ever need to turn around, you can do, again, that type of movement like this. Like, let's say I'm going down Broad, and then I'm like, oh, I need to go the other direction. Well, in theory, what you could do is you could do a U-turn. To change your direction. Now, you need to be careful with U-turns because they're not legal everywhere. So, for instance, in Philadelphia, I think they're legal. I don't remember having any issues with that. But where I live now, U-turns are illegal. So, if the police catch you doing a U-turn, that's a problem. And in the U.S., most people follow traffic rules. Okay, so it's not quite like other countries. Not to name any names, but for instance, driving in the Middle East is very different than driving in the U.S. So make sure if you go to the U.S. at any point that you make sure you follow your driving directions and the rules and things like that, because the police are out there. Yeah, so U-turns are going to be helpful. Other things that can be helpful too, city driving can be very difficult. So one thing that you'll need to master in city driving, if you want to ever park your car, is called parallel parking. Parallel parking is the situation where, let's say you have a car right there, and then you have another car, and then you have this space in between the cars, so then you need to try to park into that space. So then in parking into that space, this would be called parallel parking. Okay, yes, learn how to park your car. Ibrahim is asking if I can leave my dungeon and escape into the outside world. You know, it's funny you say that because I had this whole series of videos that I was going to do pre-pandemic. Well, I was planning on doing lots of interviews with people and things like that. So I got a special camera, I got a special microphone. I was all set to do it, and then pretty much as soon as I got everything, the pandemic started. So even I would say the outdoor videos are coming. They've just taken a little bit longer than I had hoped. Also, where I live, it's unfortunately this time of year is when it starts getting colder. And the other issue is that during the day, I have my son. I need to take care of my son during the day, so that kind of limits my ability to get out and do filming. But regardless, I do have plans. Ibrahim, I just ask for your patience. I'm sorry. I know everyone gets tired of seeing the back there. But it is coming. Just give me some time. All right. Those are kind of the main things I wanted to highlight today. If you guys have other questions related to driving, directions, and even anything related to English pronunciation or things like that, I'll stay on for an extra couple of minutes. But yeah, these are kind of highlights. And again, in case you missed it earlier, we do have an intonation workshop that is coming up. Just going to bring that up again. This is going to be on Saturday at 9:30 a.m. New York time. So check your time zones. It's $5 to attend, so there's a little bit of a price associated with it, but I tried to keep it low. It's going to be held on Skype. And again, we basically look at conversations between native speakers and try to identify the linking, stress, and intonation patterns that they are using in their speech and try to apply it to our own language. So if that's something that you think you'd be interested in, I would definitely say, hey, it would be great to have you. And again, if you're interested in that, you can email me at speakfluentamerican@gmail.com. So Beta asks, do I live in Philly? I do not live there now. It's where I grew up. So that's the city where I'm from. So that's kind of why I picked a map, because I'm more familiar with what's going on with the layout and things like that. If you have not been to Philly, I definitely recommend it. I think it's a great city. I think it's an underrated one. Other quick questions or things like that. So, Beta, when you say you can't join because you can't join Skype or Zoom, or let me know exactly what, because I'd always like to find out some alternatives and things like that, because I'd like to try to keep things accessible. While you're doing that, of course, if there's other cities too that you'd like to see descriptions for, be sure to let me know. And of course, also, if there's other videos that you guys would like to see. So we've done lots of describing pictures videos. We've done lots of intonation videos, pronunciation, minimal pair videos. We've done videos where we take a look at different celebrities and then kind of analyze their English. But if there's other types of videos that you would like to see, I know Ibrahim's interested in the outdoor videos, and those will be coming in time. But if there's other types of content that you would like to see, that would be helpful. Can't join the work. Is it because it's... So if you could send me a message later to kind of tell me what types of platforms would work better where you are. So for instance, if Skype doesn't work, let me know like if Zoom works, or if Zoom doesn't work, if there's another platform that does work. You should be sure to let me know, because I'd like to make sure that you can access the content. Okay, so be sure to let me know. But yep, I do have to run to a class, guys. But thank you so much for your time. Always appreciate seeing you all. Yeah, and again, if you think of some content that you'd like to see in the future, be sure to let me know, because I'd be happy to get some things ready for you. But yeah, I hope you guys have a good day, have a good night, have a good afternoon, and I will see you in a future video, I am sure. You guys take care.